Hello, sweet parents. Welcome to the When Our Adult Children Walk Away podcast. My name is Dr. Janet Steinkamp, and during each episode of When Our Adult Children Walk Away, I will provide my professional and personal insights, information and opportunities for your self-reflection and growth, tips and tricks to make every day count, and encouragement to keep moving forward. I'm here to help you dig deep and get down to the root causes so that you can find your way out of the darkness to a positive and lasting relationship. Grab your notebook and a pen, settle into your favorite chair, and let's get to it. In this episode, I want to help you practice and develop for yourself some options for how you respond when people ask you about your adult child and your grandchildren. People generally ask out of curiosity, good intentions, maybe trying to be supportive, encouraging. There is an episode about busybodies. We need to make sure that, who we're dealing with when they come with those questions and modify our responses accordingly. So I wanted to take this time, just a few minutes, to really look at options. So in general, I would suggest you focus on the present. Maybe it's kind of a quiet time for us this year. How about you? Everything you've said is honest. You move the conversation off of your situation and circumstances and onto them. Most people are very comfortable talking about themselves and happy to go there. Many times they'll follow your lead and they might circle back. Be prepared for that. Generally speaking, that works. Acknowledge the distance. Maybe you want to acknowledge the distance without going into detail. So it might be something like, there's been some distance, but I'm hoping that things might improve in the near future, and we're really working toward that. How about you? How are things for you? Again, honest, transparent, sincere. You don't badmouth the kids. You don't lament about your situation. You don't reveal any information that you don't want to get out into the public, but you acknowledge that, things are kind of quiet right now. You can redirect to positivity or to other family updates. It might sound something like, we're keeping in touch in our own way. I'm looking forward to spending time with the family and who's able to spend time with us this season. You can redirect to positivity or other family updates. So it might sound something like, we're keeping in touch in our own way. I'm looking forward to spending time with the family, whoever is able to make it this year. How about you? What are your plans? You can politely set the boundaries if the question is too personal. Sometimes people get too personal, too familiar. And so, you could say, it's complicated right now. It's a complicated situation. I'd really rather not get into it, but I sure appreciate you asking. I appreciate you being concerned and checking in. So they know you've set the line, not going to talk about it. Give them some gratitude and acknowledge that they took the time to be supportive. You might emphasize your well-being. It's been challenging. This is a challenging time for us, but I'm focusing on the things I can control, and I find peace in that. I'm finding some real peace, or I'm finding my way through, or I'm something that's I focused. Own it, be authentic, and again, just ask how they're doing. Ask about something that is going on in their life, and turn the tables to the other person. Again, it's pretty easy most of the time to bring people back to their own circumstances. So you might offer a hopeful note without oversharing. You might sound something like this. I am really hopeful that things will work out eventually. We're just taking one day at a time and giving people the space they need to work through what they need to work through. How about you? What's going on for you? You might, this is a kind of a last example, to the general public, or less, people that are not in your inner circle. I call this the dishwasher repairman role. Somebody who's in your life but not intimately in your life, or they don't have intimate details. You might express some gratitude. You might express gratitude for their interest. Thanks for asking. I know people care, and it's really nice to be able to talk about it in a respectful way. You might share a couple of details. We're all getting together for Christmas or for Hanukkah or whatever the celebration is or festivity that's coming up in your life. We're all getting together, and I'm really looking forward to resetting the clock. How about you? What's going on in your life? So you acknowledge what they're asking. You acknowledge the situation. You don't throw anybody under the bus. You don't lament. You don't give away things that you don't want out in public. And then by using those responses, you maintain control over the conversation. You maintain control over the information, and you protect your emotional space. You protect the emotional space of all parties involved. Your adult child, your other children, your spouse. I have worked with people who have brought their estrangement circumstances and their story into the workplace, into their neighborhood, into their family, extended family. And it's certainly their business, and it is absolutely an individual choice. What I have found as I work with people is that the more people you bring into the circumstances, the more difficult it is to maintain a direct line of communication with your adult child. It's difficult to leave the light on and have as few barriers as possible between them and you. If everybody knows, if everybody's talking about it, if it's the topic of conversation at every dinner table in the neighborhood, it is not helpful to our adult children when they decide they want to trust us again to open up the dialogue or open up closed communication channels and try to reestablish different boundaries, different interactions, if everybody's talking about it and has an opinion about it, they are exposed to scrutiny, judgment, assessment, evaluation, unwanted feedback. They don't want any of that. And we don't want any of that for them. So by keeping the circle small and keeping the information that's private, we protect them. We protect our relationship. We build a fence around it. So different than that, if you're responding to a close friend, since the close friend is probably somebody that you trust, even our closest friends can be busybodies. So you have to make that determination person by person. But if this is somebody that you trust, is a close friend who really understands the true circumstances, knows the adult child, knows who you are, and is invested in you reconnecting or improving the communication, your answer might be more candid and still be mindful. You might share more information. I did get a letter the other day. I was so grateful. I miss them so much. I did get a letter the other day, or you might share how you're feeling. I miss them so much. This has been a really difficult week. They may come back with, well, what are you doing to take care of yourself? That's a good friend. That's a good friend. And how can I help? What do you need from me? That's what you're looking for in those conversations. Not somebody to tell you it's not a big deal. Not somebody to tell you shouldn't be feeling this way. Not somebody who's going to tell you what a nut job your adult child is. Somebody who's there for you and listens and offers their support, right? That's how you know a close friend. You can set respectful boundaries with anybody who's asking you. That's kind of private right now. I'm not sure how much of this I'm comfortable sharing, but I do appreciate you asking. I appreciate your interest and that you're looking out for me. If you want to be more authentic or not authentic, if you want to be more revealing, if you're willing to open up to your own emotions a little bit more, you can say things like, honestly, things aren't great right now. And things aren't great with, name your child. There's been a lot of tension lately, and I'm just trying to take it day by day. It's hard to be around the holidays. This is a tough time of year. We're also stressed anyway, but this is making it particularly difficult. You can acknowledge that. Own it. You're not throwing anybody under the bus. You're not bad-mouthing. You're saying this is the situation, and it's tough. Again, a good friend will respond with empathy and compassion and confidentiality. So you get my point here. I'm glad you listened in. I appreciate you taking this to heart. I hope it was helpful to you. it is so difficult when you're caught off guard with these questions to know how to respond. So the research tells us in order to incorporate a new default response, if you're surprised, caught off guard, this is what you default to. You need to practice it 14 to 17 times. 14 to 17 times. That's no small thing. You don't get many opportunities to share in a controlled environment, so you need to be prepared for the unexpected. So practice. Say it out loud. Check your tone. Check your facial expressions. 80% of communication is not the words coming out of our mouth. So we need to check tone, body language, facial expressions, rate of speech, vocabulary. It's the whole thing when you're communicating. So check those things, practice in the mirror, practice in front of a trusted friend, practice in front of your partner, but practice. I remember practicing how I would answer the phone if Brianna called. If Brianna called and said, "Mom," I wanted to know that I would respond in a way that was neutral, that was open, that had no guilt or intonation of, "Oh, hi, how are you?" That's not going to fly. I really needed to practice my facial expressions. Our kids know us better than anyone else on the face of the earth. They know our heartbeat. They know our inflections. I like to say they know when we come in the front door by how we close the door, whether we had a good day or not. They don't even need words. They don't even need to lay eyes on us. So we better be practicing what we want to incorporate into our behavior and our responses. All right. Thanks again for listening in. I so appreciate what you're going through. I have walked that path. There's nothing easy about estrangement. There's nothing fair. There are opportunities to learn and to make the quiet time of estrangement constructive, beneficial to you, helpful for your future relationship. I want to help you with that. I appreciate you trusting me to give you that help.